We should already start, so no
Group vote? This is a participation project if you didn't know it already. So how many people think we should wait on the cigarette guy? That's like nobody.
Who wants to start? All right.
If you're standing outside wondering whether or not to come in, get your ass in here. You're lost. Alrighty. This is being brought to you by MovieCrypt.com. My name is Kevin Ransom. And this is the ultimate occult showdown.
I'm Brett Link. Pretty much all around.
Well, both of us are
jackass.
Elitist.
Snobs.
Snobs.
Yeah,
for lack of a better word. The idea behind this is we're going to ask you some questions, and we're going to try to hammer out once and for all some things that have been bothering us for a while.
Well, first question. Is there anyone here who's never been to one of our Ultimate Occult Showdowns? Okay. This requires audience participation. And if the audience does not participate, the audience will be picked out and made to participate.
We will single you out.
We're going to throw...
See, I can already tell she's trouble. Look at her.
She's a giggler. You got a giggler.
Got a giggler.
What we're going to do is we're going to take...
It's all going to get worse.
This is true. And we're not talking about the panel. We're talking about jokes.
Well, the panel's going to get worse, too. Yeah. We've already prepared you for that, so it's all uphill from here.
What we're going to do is we're going to take two people, creatures, things from
occult television, occult film, less literature, mostly movies and TV.
And we're going to put them up against each other. And we want from y'all what they're better at. Who's better at what? Depends on what you want to pick.
Right. Now, some of these already have questions attached to them, so I'm going to, and again, not everybody may have seen who these people are or know who these people are. That's going to slant the other individual's favorite or team or whatever. Starter question.
Okay. In the Dream Stalker category, who is the scarier Dream Stalker? Robert Englund's Freddy or Robert Earl Haley's Freddy? Jackie Earl Haley's Freddy.
Jackie Earl.
Why?
I just feel like Jackie Earl kind of captured more of their kind of thing. I really enjoyed the original Freddy, but sometimes, especially in late movies, it looks uncomfortable.
So Jackie's was more serious?
Yeah, it's like comparing all the Jack Nicholson Joker to...
So you're really saying that with our guest,
Robert
Englund here, you are in good enough company to say that Jackie Earl Haley is a scarier Freddy Krueger.
Yep.
I'll go with it.
Oh, do we have a counterpoint?
It's not so much a counterpoint. I think both of them are scary on their own terms because both movies were made in completely different times. Robert Englund was made for the 80s, the colorful, the out there type of horror, and lately we've been going into more down-to-earth, reality-based horror. Hence, with the Jokers of Batman, like mentioned earlier, Jack Nicholson's stylized, comical, well, not really comical, but comic-based visual acting look, and then with Heath Ledger's and Christopher Nolan's approach, more down-to-earth. I think it just depends.
You say, over later movies, Robert Englund's Freddy does more silly. Well, who's to say that, Jackie Earl Haley has not had that opportunity?
Then how about we limit it? First movie versus first movie.
First movie versus first movie.
Who was
Nightmare on Elm Street versus Nightmare on Elm Street. Who was the
scarier Freddy?
Jackie.
Okay, Jackie. Why?
Just even then, even comparing first to first, I still felt he was more terrifying. Especially that opening scene where they burn him to the ground.
What, better origin?
Yeah, but it's better explained. And
well, they did incorporate the origin, so we didn't hear about what may have happened. We actually got to see it happen.
So what? Call that a point for Jackie as a better origin makes him scarier?
Better origin for scare. 1 point.
Okay, 1 point.
But when it comes
plot based. I didn't think the remake had as much force as the original did. I
You
thought
think there's more plot in the
It was more
original
plot.
Nightmare on Elm Street?
no, it didn't make as much sense. It didn't make any sense at all. Like nano dream stories almost. Like,
Well, the
Micronaps.
That's
That's actually real.
That's a real phenomenon.
Yeah. You do micronaps are actually real. And don't worry that intelligent, but
Okay, so you never experienced triple shift sleep deprivation when driving home from the factory yet, have you? Would anybody like to counter the micronaps happen?
yeah.
Okay, the adults figured out the children.
Again, plot for the movie, we're talking about Freddy himself. The portrayal of Freddy. So we're saying, okay, Haley's was portrayed the origin, made him scarier because the origin gave you that horrific moment.
Well, if we're talking about Freddy's then, I have to say England's was scarier just because I love Jackie and I love Watchmen and I love the other films he did. But Robert Englund's just came across as scarier because he was more, Jackie just came across more of a nightmare hair, I'm here to kill you. Where Robert, his Freddy was more enjoyed toying with them just a bit more. The nightmares were more.
Even towards the end when he got his last victim, when he finally confessed what he was going to do. Spoiler alert, there might be some spoilers in this. End alert.
I just felt overall in the original, it was more he enjoyed toying around with them, like really screwing around.
Seriously,
You're not convincing me.
well, I think, are you trying to say he was scarier because he would draw out the pain and the torture and the fear?
They felt more like actual nightmares, more effed up nightmares, rather than just there's this guy coming to kill you and the dream's over.
I'd say I think he's got I think he has a point.
Well, now we have a problem. That's 1 point each. We need a tiebreaker. Oh, thank you, Pete.
Well, I was going to add on his comment that the first Freddy, I haven't actually seen the Jackie Earl Haley version, but Robert Englund, in toying with these people, he personalizes his torment, and so that to me was more terrifying. His tongue coming out of the telephone and getting really close to the man's face was ugh. So that to me, it ups the ick factor.
I just kind of disagree.
Well, I mean, people can say what they want from different generations, but the only reason we're sitting around talking about this is because one had to copy the first, and that's what made it so good.
Ooh, so you're playing the remake card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if this was an original idea, somebody else would have thought of it already.
See, wouldn't that make the original
Well, let me
more
hear this
scary?
opinion.
See, I kind of disagree with the whole that when the crew or England's was toying with him more, because the whole purpose of Jackie's Freddy was that he was keeping her awake long enough to put her in a permanent sleep so he could toy with her for as long as he wanted. In a permanent coma.
So you're saying overall, Haley had a bigger plan from the very beginning than England's crew did. That's kind of what I thought. Anybody who's seen both care to counter that?
Yeah.
I'm going to give 2 to Haley.
So that's the way. Right now, Haley's up 2-1. Defend it. Why not?
Defend it. Why?
Why?
I'm telling my daughter she better get here now.
Why?
She is the ultimate Freddy fan.
Why was England scarier?
I think because
Put it this way.
he
That's
came
the only
first, so
thing.
by definition, audiences didn't know what they were getting into
So
necessarily.
you're going with his
With
opinion.
yeah, with a remake, I mean, granted there are going to be newcomers that aren't familiar with the Freddy story, but you're going to have a lot of people that already know he attacks you in dreams.
Alright.
You have to stay
But-
awake. They're already aware.
Well, that's
I would counter with Cesar Romero. Cesar Romero was the original Joker that most people saw on the screen in Batman the TV series, where it was a complete joke. Does that make him a better Joker and scarier than Heath Ledger
Or even Jack Nicholson.
or even Jack Nicholson?
Okay, but at the same time, though, and I have to throw this in, the 60s Batman wasn't intended to be all that scary. I mean,
Come on,
most it was a
watching
little
Adam West do the Batutsi was scary as hell.
but not in a menacing way, more of like,
It was
I
more of a
can't let my eyes
Joker.
out way.
Wait, all things have to be relative.
Right, and I think that was his, somebody brought up that point, I forget who, I'm sorry. that there was a relevance of the time period. Because
The 80s,
Earl
yeah.
Haley did get to do some things that England's Freddy wasn't even allowed to hint, or only hinted at.
Yeah,
they actually confirmed some things.
They hint at the whole child molestation thing,
Right.
which even in the early 80s, hinting at that made it kind of scary.
Yeah, that almost got an NC-17. It's like, oh,
Or-
you can't do that.
so what?
This. It just kills everybody.
Point for being about even with actually less material to be able to work for based on the time frame.
But then you'd also
Since I can't repeat that, yes.
Okay.
you also have to give a point to both. I mean, and then the other one works with what they actually can.
Well, we're saying that Jackie shouldn't get a pass just because he's able to say he's a child molester.
Right. We're
We're
saying
saying is that Robert is just as scary
It's-
without being.
Haley was allowed to
Go there.
You go there, but
England's
was not.
but because he still was able to bring him across that level of terror in the
So who
story
gets the
as
point?
actor. So right now we're tied 2-2.
And
All tie. Move on.
all right, show of hands. We gotta move on to the next one before we run out of time.
England.
How many for England? Count the window. How many for Haley? Oh, I'm sorry. That's
You're allowed to abstain. You're allowed to abstain. Some people didn't.
If you abstain, then it's
If you abstain, no, you're allowed to abstain, and then we're allowed to throw things at you. That's it.
I didn't.
We got things to throw.
I have a.
Okay, all right. This is heavy. Now,
Wait, next. Who's the better bad boy vampire?
Oh gosh.
Vampire Diaries Damon
One for the ladies.
or True Bloods Eric?
Eric.
I hate both of them.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure Eric right here. Why?
A lot of Northman fans.
Because he's a little bit everything. He's a little bit mean, he's a little bit nice. He can sweet and do what he wants.
So well-rounded villain.
HBO is always going to do better than CW.
That's true.
So what we're gonna give Eric? So Eric gets a point because he can go there because he's on cable as opposed to
Now we're
broadcast.
back
Yeah, it's
there
right to
again,
the same thing.
Well, we'll just put points on it. Okay, 1 point for Northman because he's on cable.
Okay.
That's a rule.
It's on cable.
Our show, we make up the rules as we go.
Yep.
All right. What else?
Eric was a Viking.
Okay.
Eric was a Viking. That's a point.
That's a point.
Vikings are cool.
Vikings are badass.
Vikings are badass.
Damon was a
Damon's not a Viking.
However, here I'll give a point for. Here's what I was trying for Damon. Damon was, excuse language, a whiny little bitch in the Civil War. Damon was a Viking. Damon's actually gotten more as a bad boy because he became a vampire. Eric was kind of a bad boy before he became one.
So you're
That was making
saying
more of a bad boy anyways.
Damon
that still makes him a bad boy.
Damon grew into a bad boy. Eric was already that before he became a vampire.
So is that a good thing or a
Yeah,
bad thing?
that's
It's
a
a good thing. Good thing.
Well, the fact that you actually, you were one before you became a vampire. Okay, but this is who's the better bad boy vampire.
Point Damon.
He became a bad boy when he became
All
a
right.
vampire.
Well, we were still 1-2. Anything else for Damon? Damon fan. Kevin Williamson fan. CW fan.